Hey everybody, welcome to Live Coding with Jesse. I'm Jesse, and today we're going to deploy a test version of our React project using Now, which is made by Zeit, and that's the same company that makes Next.js, which is what we're using for our React site as well. I'm going to go through the whole process. We're going to start out by creating a subdomain with one of our URLs, pointing the subdomain to the proper place. We're going to do it with a CNAME. So there's a few different ways that you can do this, and I'll get you all the link to the documentation that lays out. I think there's 3 different ways we can do this. We're going to use the CNAME way, which is good if you don't want to use their name servers, the Zeit name servers, which in this case we don't want to use them. So this will be almost like a test run for when we deploy this for real on our main domain. It'll be slightly different when we do it for the root domain, but only very, very slightly. Let's see. Just to catch everyone up, we let's see. We're pretty much, in terms of design, the site it's pretty much done. There's a few like little tweaks here and there that I'd like to get to, but the big thing that we've been working on and that I've been working on when I'm not streaming is just getting data moved over from our old server to our new server, from our old database to our new database, and then making sure that that data is able to get into React properly and that the URLs match up with what the old site has. So that's, I don't know, I feel like I'm doing the same thing every day with this site, but I mean there's just a lot. There's a lot of data to handle, so that's how it is. So not really fun to do all that, but necessary. So I really do. I want to get this test site up. I want you all to be able to have a URL you can go to at any time to check it out, and I want other users here to be able to check it out and start pointing out to me things that aren't working, because we're at almost exactly a month until the launch date. So I definitely want to give as much time as possible for testing. Not just for me to test, but for other people to test. Alright. Okay, we're starting to get a few more viewers. So I guess we'll start up. I do want to mention though, next Tuesday, I will be at the Google I/O Extension Conference for Pittsburgh. So the Google I/O conference is going to go on next week, their main conference at their headquarters. But then all over, I believe it's all over the world, they're going to have these extension conferences. So especially in places that have Google Office. So Pittsburgh has a branch of Google there, and I'll be there. But the reason I want to bring it up is, well, number one, to say I definitely won't be streaming that day, but also if anybody plans on going, if you're in the Pittsburgh area, let me know. It'd be awesome to meet up if you want when we're at the conference. And I'll try to, I'm not going to try to do a YouTube live stream from there. I don't think there'll be an opportunity for that, but I may do something on Instagram, just some updates and things. So if you have Instagram and you don't follow me, find me on Instagram. I think if you go to my YouTube channel, I have Instagram linked from there. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, find me on there, and I'll try to put some updates in, and then of course I'll tell you all about it the next day when I do have a chance to stream. Let's see. Since we're talking about conferences, I'll also be at the Revolution Conf in Virginia Beach. That's, I don't know, in a couple weeks or something. So anybody in Virginia or that general area, if you're going to be at the conference, awesome. If you're not going to be at the conference but you're in that area and like to meet up, let me know. and I'll be speaking at the Pittsburgh Tech Fest in June as well. So anyway, just thought I'd like to let you all know. It'd be really cool. I'd hate to be somewhere where maybe where you all are and then miss an opportunity to meet up or something. So, all right, enough of me talking. We do have a question. Nikki says, is the Material Design version 2 getting unveiled at Google I/O, or is that just a rumor? I don't know. I mean, I've been seeing headlines about this Material Design version 2, but I don't know for sure. I would imagine if they're going to unveil it, I/O is probably the place to do it. That would be really cool. So I'm definitely interested in that, obviously, since I use Material Design for most of my projects. Okay. So let's start out. Let me share my screen. So, and then we're going to start out with the domain name. So I'm going to do all my login stuff on my other screen and then move it over, just so that I don't accidentally give away any important information. And especially, I believe we have this domain hosted with GoDaddy, and I have quite a few GoDaddy accounts saved here, so I don't want to give away like all 7 of my GoDaddy usernames on the screen at once. They're not all my accounts, but they're accounts I have access to for clients and various accounts at the university. Okay, let me see. The university has several accounts, and I can never remember which one has this this domain name. So I may get the wrong one first. I think. All right, I got the right one. All right, so I'm gonna move this over. There we go. Let me move this over. Now I'm gonna do a little explanation as well, because I'm just not sure how familiar you all are with handling domain names, DNS records, and things like that. It's not something you want to mess around with, really, unless you know what you're doing. So if you're using a domain that's not really linked up to anything, then feel free to mess around as much as you want. But if you're doing this for a client or for a live website, you want to be very, very careful, because you can mess things up. Especially, I mean, not only with, I mean, really with any of the types of records you can mess it up, but especially with MX records, you can mess up somebody's entire email system, which I've actually done before for a client years ago. So it all got sorted out, and but there were a few days there where emails weren't working. So from experience, I will tell you, it's definitely a good idea to double check you know what you're doing. You want to screenshot everything beforehand, because if for some reason you lose all these IP addresses and would have to try to remember them or look them up to go back in, it would take you much, much longer to get these back where they're supposed to be. So depending on where you host, where you manage your domain from, this panel is going to look different. Okay, so the admin panels are very different, just depending on where you're at in terms of the style, the design. But what they should have is an area where it lists your types of records. For right now, these are all A records here. You have a name, your value, and then some seconds here. The usually pretty standard I see is like 600 seconds. These correspond with subdomains, right? So right now we have quite a few subdomains here, and the subdomains are pointed to an IP address, right? So for instance, if you were to start up a DigitalOcean droplet, it has an IP address, right? If you wanted that droplet, if you wanted your subdomain to go to that droplet, you would just take that IP address and you'd put it in here as an A record. So if we wanted begin.franciscan.university to go to our droplet, we just pop the IP address in right there, right? And now sometimes there's a delay. It depends, and I'm hoping that there's not too much delay when we do this. Otherwise, we may not be able to see the result for a while. But I wanted to do it with you instead of doing it beforehand, so hopefully it'll all work out. And I just remembered that I did not start my timer. Here's the timer. All right, let me start that up. That way, after 25 minutes is over, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to answer some questions there in the live chat. So, first thing we need to do is figure out what we want our subdomain to be for this. So, normally, like test or dev is a reasonable one if this is going to be a test site. So, let's see if we have that already. Okay, we do have test, and we have test 1. Let's check page 2. And page 3, just to be sure. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a domain name called dev. So or a subdomain called dev. So the URL will be dev.franciscan.university. So that's a reasonable domain name, I think, or subdomain. So what we're going to do is select, in this case, a CNAME record. And we're going to say dev points to, and this is where we need to get a value from now. So let's go to the now documentation. Zeit now. There we go. And once I get to the right page, I'll paste the link in the chat. I see there's a lot of activity in the chat. Just, hey everyone, I'll definitely check out the chat here in a few minutes. So we're going to go to our documentation and assign a domain name. And let me make this much bigger so y'all can see. And I'm going to copy this and paste it. If anybody uses Spotify, the Throwback Thursday playlist is from the year 2000, which I was in high school in the year 2000. Is that maybe middle school? So maybe around 8th grade or my freshman year, somewhere like that. So if anybody shares similar nostalgia for the year 2000, check out the Throwback Thursday playlist on Spotify. Okay, so the link's pasted now in the chat. If it doesn't work when you click it, please try to copy and paste it into your browser directly, and then that should work. So we're going to try to do it with a CNAME, right? So these other options, you're welcome to use those, and they may be better for your use case, but for our use case here, really our only option is to use the CNAME. So we need to point it to alias.zeit.co, and I believe it's alias.zeit.co. Yeah. Now that I think about it, I did this with another site recently. This might be outdated. We'll see. If it is outdated, then maybe we'll submit a pull request to update this, but we'll find out in a minute. So we do need terminal window open. So let's see where this is. All right, I'm gonna move this over so it's on the same screen with us here. And let me just get a fresh new tab. There we go. We'll just start with a fresh one here. And Oops, I forgot to put it in. I'm skipping a step. There we go. We need to put that in here, alias.zeit.co, and we'll drop this down to 600. Right, we want this to go as quickly as possible. All right, so now we have our CNAME record, and so the subdomain dev should go here. So if you want your particular subdomain to point to a URL, use a CNAME. If you want it to point to an IP address, use an A record. Okay, so that's kind of just a really basic difference between the two. So let's see, and I believe we'll find out really quickly whether or not that was the way to go. Let's see if, you know what, I think we already have this. Yeah, let's go ahead and just do it over here, since this is already where we want it to be. Now let's make sure we're ready. So we'll do a get pull. I just did one, but I want to do it on the stream. So you always want to begin work with a get pull, because you may have pushed something to GitHub and you didn't remember, or somebody else that's working on the same project may have. So you definitely want to make sure you have the latest stuff. So we do happen to have the latest stuff. And now I want to, let's just do a yarn. So I know that I didn't have any new packages, but that's another step that you always want to take to make sure that you have the latest packages. If you're not using yarn, you can use npm install. I believe just typing npm works now as well. Now the next thing we want to do is use our commands from our documentation here. So what we're going to do is type now alias, and we're going, oops, increase option, HTTP. No, we actually need to type, we need this first. So let's run now. There may be a way to combine some of these steps, but since we're going through it the first time, I think it'd be better to do it separately anyway. So what this is doing now that we've typed in now, so I have installed now on my machine. So that's another step you will have to take, is just to install it. If you go into the documentation for now, then you can figure, there's several ways that you can download it on your machine, so you can pick whichever way works best for you. So we've been given this URL here. So basically a default now URL is going to be the name of your project plus kind of a random string, and then .now.sh. It's nice, but it's not really easy for a tester or a user to type in, right? We wouldn't want that to be our actual URL for our website. So we'll let that go. I mean, this is taking all of our files and running them on a server. So if, I don't know how many of you were with me whenever we set up DigitalOcean servers, but compare that process, which if you're lucky and you do everything right, you can set up a server to run React, you know, with SSL and everything, maybe in an hour, right? But this isn't a matter of minutes. And there's no maintenance. So while that's happening, I'm going to check the chat. Let's check the time too. All right, 16 minutes. Let's see. David asks, is this like Heroku? Sort of, yeah. It's a way to deploy. Okay, so we are successful. So what it did, which is kind of nice, is it automatically saved this URL to the clipboard, which is cool. We don't have to copy it. So let's go over here and just visit it to verify that it is working. And I'm going to click around a bit. Wonderful. Let's see, undergraduate, great. Let's go back to the home page and let's make sure this is working. Wonderful. It looks like everything's working. Great. So that was really fast, right? Like, this is our site running in a production environment. It's fast. It has an SSL. I mean, that's amazing. I mean, if you've never gone through the process of setting up a server yourself and the SSL and everything, like, it may not seem like a lot, but it's really amazing. I did see Nikki had a question about, does now also support separate deployments per branch? I have deployed things, different branches before as well. So I have a deployment right now of the Catechetical Institute website that's just the upgrade branch. So that's definitely a possibility. You have a branch that's your latest stuff. You want to let your client see it before it goes live, let's say on the main URL. You can make a test subdomain and just push that branch. So all you would do is go into, you do a git checkout on that branch, and then once you're on that branch, you run now from that branch. So great question, and it's definitely possible. So now that we have this, let's type in now alias. We're going to paste this in. So we want this URL to go to dev.franciscan.university. Now, it's not going to work this time, but that's to be expected. But we need to get some info here, because we're going to need to set up a text record as well to make this work. And we're going to get that record once this does its thing. Let's see. All right, cool. So we have this now, and you can see we have a few pieces of information. So first it says you could set your name servers to this, which we're not going to do. We're using the alternative way, and that's we've already set our CNAME to use alias.zeit.co, and now we need to make a text record that has this value. So I'm definitely going to copy that value. We're going to copy that, and now let's make this record. So we're going to go back to our domain. We're going to add a text record, and the host is going to be _now, and then there's the value, and we'll set this custom as well, and let's save, and we'll see we now have this text record. And let's compare. The text mentioned above in the error message. Okay, I remember now. I remember which part of this I had thought about creating a pull request for. So this screenshot is from an older version of now, so that's why it looks differently. So I had thought of potentially replacing that. It was, yeah. So we're not going to do that now because it's not really a big deal, because the newer version I think explains it better when you're running the command. So now that we have that text record again, we're going to run this command over again. So there's that same command, and when we run it this time, it should work. All right, good. So we have our success message here. So now it's going to generate an SSL certificate, and it's going to set that up. So this may take a minute or so. But once it's done, we should be able to go to dev.franciscan.university and see our site. Oh, wow, that was really fast. Awesome. So let's go over here, and we'll go to dev dot university, and you all can try this out as well. Dev.franciscan. Whoops, if I could spell it right. Let's try that again. Dev. There we go. Yay, it works. So I'm going to paste this into the chat, and that way you all can check it out. You can see this definitely works. We can click around to wherever we want, and it runs, and it's fast. It's so fast. This is why I don't know, you know, the details of how things deployed on Now end up being so fast. I'm sure there's more details on the website. I remember reading something before when it first came out, but I'm not even going to try to explain it. It is just fast. So I want to go over how you would keep this up, right? So this is great, but what happens when you want to update it? So obviously, like, your site's going to change over time. This site's going to change. It'll probably change, you know, today. So how do we keep things up to date easily? So there is a way to make this whole process a bit easier in terms of updating. And let's see where it's at. I want to show you how to do this. I may not be able to find it in the documentation. We may just have to just do it. Aliases. All right, I'll just do it. I'm sure it's in the documentation somewhere, but I still remember how to do this. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to add in a basically a new section into our package JSON that is going to have configuration for Now. Now there's a lot of other options. Actually, let me find this in here, because there we go. Okay, here we are. So we can put in this Now option, and we can put in an alias. We can add in, it should have, yeah, here we are. So we have all these options of to configure Now right there. So name, alias, we have like environment variables, which is very useful. Scale, which we're not going to worry about scaling now, but whenever we actually launch the site, the live version of the site, we're going to do some stuff with scale. So we'll explain it more then. This is like, well, still scale stuff. Oh wait. So there's a lot of different things. You could see I'm still scrolling, you know, still with this configuration. But for now, what we really need is the alias. So that's what we're going to check out. Actually, let me make sure I have time to do this before my timer runs out. 5 minutes? Yeah, we're good. Okay. So what we want to do then is, oops. Where am I going to put this? Alright, I'm just going to put it here. So we're going to make this now. And so this is, right, our package JSON. It's just a JSON file. So same format as normal. We're going to have an alias. And then for our alias, we're going to put in our URL. So we're going to go dev.franciscan.university. Let me double check that I spelled it right this time. There we go. All right, so that is spelled correctly. All right, awesome. And that's all we're going to do right now to set this up. So I guess we could just, let's just test this out. So I'm going to make an update. Now the update's really not going to do anything that a user can see on the site, but let's do get status. We see we've updated that. Let's do get add, and then we'll do yarn cm. So this is how we've set up our custom way to set up to make pull requests. Build, yeah, maybe. Maybe we'll put it under build. I don't know, let's do it. Let's go add no, alias. Okay, so we'll let this run through all the tests, and then we will try this out. Let's see. Uh-oh. I'm not running the server, that's why. Let's do yarn dev. Oh, it looks like alright, so I already have a server running here, so let's stop this. Oops. There we go. We're going to stop that one so we can start this one up. Sorry about that. Yarn dev. And it looks like we have, it came up with a message saying that there's a new version of Next. So suppose we're going to be doing an update to the latest version of Next sometime soon. And when this is done, now we'll try to run this again. So we're going to do yarn cm, but we're going to go with retry. Is that what it is? Cm retry. I think that's the command we want. Nope. Is it 2 of them? There we go. That's it. So we don't have to type in our commit message and everything again when we use retry with the double hyphens. So now it should work. If you happen to be working on this project and you run into a similar issue, just make sure that you're running the server before you try to commit, because the test will try to run but they can't without the server. So that did work. So now we're going to do now, right? So you know what? Can we just run now alias? We may be able to run now alias. I can't remember exactly. Let's see, I don't think we have a search. Deployment. I wonder if it says it down here. I don't remember exactly where it is. So let's run now. So now we're going to have another URL, a different one from the one we had before. And so there'll be another instance. The cool thing about now is like right now I'm not on a paid plan. I have a free plan. I can start these instances up and it's entirely free. We're eventually going to move on to a paid plan, which will I might work on that today. Buying things at a university usually involves paperwork and going through stuff, so I'm going to consult with my colleague about what the best way is to go about paying for an account. I think my timer just ran out, so I'm going to scroll up and start answering questions, and then once this is finished, we'll run the next command. I should have changed something so that we could see what was happening in that website, but too late now. This will work. John Hansen says, hey, all summer like today, iced coffee time. Yeah, the weather's been really nice. I mean, I'm near Pittsburgh and in the United States, and the weather's like 80 degrees. Super nice. And I did get iced coffee. What day was it? Tuesday? Tuesday I had dentist appointment and doctor's appointment, and so I stopped and got an iced coffee between. Actually, I stopped at a Dunkin' Donuts, and I'm glad I did. They had Wi-Fi, and then one of my clients' websites from a long time ago crashed. And so they emailed me and were like, hey, the site's down. And so I checked it out and I managed to get it back up and running during my stop at Dunkin' Donuts in between my appointments. So that worked out really well. And I happened to have my laptop with me, which was also very nice. Okay, so now that we do this, let's type now alias, and I believe, yep, there we go. So here's what we've done. If you can't see that, I'm going to read through a little bit, but it says assigning alias dev.franciscan.university to the deployment Franciscan University React, and then mkjd whatever, and that's the one we just did. So it's not our old deployment that we had just made like a half hour ago or something about then. This is a new one. So now what we're able to do every time we want to push our new updates to our test site, we just type now followed by now alias. You probably could do now and now, so like something like this, now. So you probably could do it like this if you want to do it all in one command, which would save time. You could just do it and leave, assuming that you're confident that no errors will happen. But yeah, so basically now all you have to do is just this command. It will deploy your new changes to a new instance and then switch it. So I mean, think about like the beauty of this is, like, we're talking about no downtime when we update. It's amazing. Like normally, let's say we have Droplet on DigitalOcean or a server somewhere, and we only have one server. You go in, you go to update. What do you need to do? If you're using like Git for deployment, you need to do a Git pull. You need to build, right? and then you'll need to start that server again. So that means there's going to be a period of downtime, depending on how long your build is, like how fast your server is. There's going to be a little downtime. It might not be that much, but you don't want to deal with that. What we've done here is we have our instance, right? So it's like we have a server that's running, like imagine on DigitalOcean, you were running 2 servers, right? Load balanced. So you shut one down, all the traffic goes to the other, and then you do your updates, and then you switch to the other one, do your updates, right? But think about all the work that goes into that. Setting up 2 servers, paying for 2 servers. Even if you go with $5 servers, it's still $10 a month. To do the DigitalOcean load balancing, that's $20 a month for the load balancer. So now you're up to $30 a month. And the process to update still, if you haven't really automated anything, it's still logging into a server, doing your get pull, doing a build, starting it back up, logging into another server, repeating the same process, right? And that's only with 2. If you had multiple servers, it could be even more involved process. Now we've switched that to where we have an instance running and our domain name is pointing to that instance. We get another instance up and running with all our changes, and then when that one's ready, we simply point the domain to the new one. There's 0 downtime, right? We don't have to worry about the old one is gone in terms of it from the user's perspective. I could still use that old really long URL and get to it, but it's just going to get shut down, right? It's going to go to sleep, and it's not going to be active anymore. And now we have a really fast way. There's no logging into servers. It's all right there from the command line. I type in now and now alias, and it's ready. I mean, there's definitely advantages to this way of deployment. So, okay, I'm not getting paid to promote this or anything like that. I'm just very impressed by it. So I'm going to get to the questions now. Anna says hi. Michael says hi. Hey, how's it going? Devesh says, does data rendering always happen through Ajax call and React except for server-side rendering? Yeah, I mean, you can use fetch instead of Ajax. I mean, you're probably going to do fetch. But, yeah, I mean, basically, if you're going to get data on the fly client side, that's the way to do it. Shanikia says, hello. Hey, how's it going? Thanks for watching. Oh, Michael said, I'm already lost. That didn't take long. Sorry. Christian says, hi, and how are you today? Not bad. And also asked how my day is going. So, yeah, day's not bad. Was up early with the baby, and didn't really get anything done even though I was up early because I was trying to keep her entertained in a room and quiet so that she didn't wake up everyone else in the house. So didn't get a chance to work out this morning. Definitely going to try to work out when I get home though. And so I started... I'm bringing this up because you all asked how my day is, so apologies to those who just want to know about the code. But briefly, to give you a little update on my life, so you all know that I battle depression, and exercise definitely helps me a lot. So I've been trying to exercise more, and I've also added to that, I'm on a diet now. So I weighed myself on Saturday, and I weighed significantly more than I've ever weighed before in my life. I weighed 190 pounds. 2 years ago, I weighed 150 pounds. So it's definitely a huge increase. So I decided to go on a diet. I mean, I don't look like I'm overweight, but realistically, 190 pounds is probably, too much for someone who's 5'10". So decided to go on a diet. Really weird for me. I've never really been on a lose weight diet before. So I'm in the middle of that. So my eating habits are different. It's not like a really complicated diet. It's just take in, less calories than I burn more calories than I take in, right? That's the plan. But with that, I'm trying to make sure that I maximize the amount of protein I eat, and I'm trying to do workouts. So cardio workouts, weights, things like that, as much as I can get in. So that's where I'm at. So far, I've lost 5 pounds since Saturday, which I think is good. I haven't, like I said, I haven't really dieted that much. But I'm trying to feel it out. So I think I'm probably taking in too few calories because my muscles aren't recovering as fast as they normally do. So I might have to adjust it a bit. But anyway, so far I actually feel good. My depression is not bad at all. So maybe I've like accidentally stumbled on some other helpful thing of kind of eating healthier will also help my depression. Which now that I say it, it sounds like, hey, why didn't I think of that before? But I realistically just never correlated my diet with my depression. So anyway, that's my mental health and personal life story for today. Let's see. Christian says, you're not using Webpack for this? No, well, I mean, Webpack's involved in some of the process in terms of like the build, right? So when we use Next, Webpack is like pre-configured. So there's a lot of Webpack going on behind the scenes, but we don't directly configure anything. John Hansen says, they're talking about URLs. Is there a way to write an anchor tag URL href to search a string in the visitor's own default search engine in a new window? I've never tried that or even thought about doing that before. Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know about the user's default search engine. I mean, potentially you could have, you could open a new window with a string that would like automatically put in whatever you want to search for, like into a search query, if that's how that search engine works. So then it would give you results. Well, it's like, you can search for something on Google and then copy and paste that URL, and then somebody else can see those results. So, I mean, essentially you just need to build that URL like that. So, I mean, but I don't know how you would know what their default search engine is. I don't know of any like browser API that lets you know what their default search engine is. Not to say it doesn't exist, I've just never heard of it. Rizwan says hello. Hey, how's it going? Thanks for watching. Evo says hey, how's it going? Evo says, quick question, are you using TypeScript with React? If so, how do you handle styling? No, I'm not using TypeScript with React. So I haven't really done that much with TypeScript. I'm not against TypeScript. I just haven't really used it. Evo says, just in general, how do you handle styling in React without styled components? I've imported CSS files with classes into components, but that just feels dirty for some reason. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different ways to do styles in React. So as far as I know, there's not one way that's like, this is the best way, you have to do it like this. There's a lot of different ways. Generally, having your CSS somewhere in the actual component, that seems to me to be the best way to handle things, because then your components become, very modular and reusable. So there are a variety of ways to accomplish that. So whatever way works best with you and what your overall system, I think is fine. Phoenix is here. Phoenix says hello. Hey, how's it going? Says you started early today. I did. I started a little early. For a time, I was starting the streams at like 11 a.m. Eastern time, which is even earlier than I did today. I just kind of got off track with different meetings and things going on. Hey, Frankie's here. Says, hey, Sensei. Hey, how's it going? Let's see. Eric Knows Best says, what do you recommend to learn React? Check out the React documentation. The latest version of freeCodeCamp, so the beta version, has some React stuff in it as well. I personally haven't gone through it yet, so I don't know if that's enough to really learn it. I think who else has React? Code Academy has React course. Yeah, that's where I would go to do React. And then of course there are plenty of YouTube tutorials. We have some on the freeCodeCamp channel. So I mean that pretty much has you covered, you know, between video, text if you're going to do the React documentation, or like guided learning in terms of the Code Academy course. Between those, that should give you a really good introduction, you know, no matter what your learning style is. All right, Niki says it's immutable. Yeah, new URLs for each deploy. Not overwriting was already there. That's awesome. Yeah, for sure. Super, super awesome. Frankie says, are you fasting? Eric says intermittent fasting is the best. Yeah, so I'm not purposely doing intermittent fasting. In like practice though, I have been holding off on eating till later in the day. That's just kind of been like I've been waking up later than normal and haven't had time to eat, so I'm just like, okay, well, I'll just wait. So I'm not purposely doing it. I need to learn more about intermittent fasting, because if I'm going to do it, I want to do it the right way. I don't want to like mess myself up. So I'm not actually doing it. Like I said, I'm just tracking all my calories. I'm tracking my protein, and you know, I'm just making sure that I burn more calories than I take in at this point. Frankie says, thanks for sharing your story with us. Oh yeah, no problem. I always get nervous when I share because I wonder how many people actually care about that kind of stuff, and if you'd rather just do more coding. So yeah, but I don't mind sharing as long as you are somewhat interested, I guess. John says 5 pounds is often just water weight, especially when eating more protein. Long term of comparison weights will tell more. Okay, cool. That actually explains it more, because I kind of thought like 5 pounds seems like a lot of weight, right? Like how do I lose 5 pounds in what's 5 days? I mean that's so that makes more sense. Christian says thank you for sharing, man. What you do on this channel is awesome, and it really helps me to learn React faster. I'm new to React, Node.js, and all that. Oh, you're welcome. I'm really glad that this is helpful to you. Michael says, wouldn't the browser send them to default search page? So this goes back to the question about the search. Well, I don't know, because if you're going to put that search string in, it's going to be a URL to a particular search engine. So there'd have to be some way to find out what the default search page is so that you can construct the proper URL. At least that's what I'm thinking. Maybe there's some other way that I'm missing. Harshit's here. Hey Harshit. Says I was unable to make it. Some work came up. Oh yeah, no problem, Harshit. Frankie says we care. Thanks. I appreciate that. John says, homeostasis is that endorphin high while your body readjusts. Enjoy it while it lasts. Okay, so cool. So John knows what's going on then. So evidently, I'm gonna have this this endorphin high while I'm switching into my diet mode. So it's actually good to know that it won't last. So now I won't think something's wrong whenever I lose that feeling. Harsha says, title on homepage says my page. Still in dev phase. Does it still say my page? Oh, yeah, it does. I gotta make sure I change that. Good good eye on there. Harsha, let me see. Does it change? Yeah, it never changes. All right. Definitely gotta make sure that changes. All right. Well, I've gotten to the end of all the questions on the chat. We only did one Pomodoro session of coding because, I mean, we got everything done in one, so we didn't really need it. Still ended up getting an hour-long stream in. So, if there are any more questions and you get them in here within the next minute or so, I can get to them. Otherwise, I think I'm going to, finish up the stream now. Phoenix says, I've started 30 days, 30 sites. I now know I need to pick up my pace of development. Yeah, wow. So you're going to build 30 websites in 30 days? That's crazy. That's really crazy. Let me know how that goes, Phoenix. That's interesting. All right, so Christian asks, is the whole page in JavaScript, React, and Node.js? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what we're using in terms of I mean, we got some other stuff going on different servers in terms of content management and database, but on the React server, I mean, that's what it is. React with Next.js. We have Apollo for GraphQL, and then we have Node. I mean, we're running Express with Node, but I mean, basically, yes, it's all JavaScript on those React servers. All right. Well, I think that's it for this stream. Thank you so much for watching. This is one of the rare times when everything went right. We didn't have any problems. So I'm happy about that. Let's see, what's tomorrow, Friday? I'm going to try to stream tomorrow. I will be at home tomorrow, so hopefully I can get a stream in. Still working on that stream quality, so I can't guarantee anything, but I'll try my best to stream and to give a good quality stream. So hopefully I'll see y'all tomorrow. If not, next week on Monday. And until then, have a great day, maybe a great weekend. I'll see ya.